Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show, training our horses and miniature cows in ranch versatility. Penning Rusty and Susie, our bull and heifer. Roping Rusty with Morgan horse, Semi. Training Eve to drive cart. Training Eve to work over her haunches with a motor cow simulator. Training Eve to lay down. Training Eve to harness, pull a log. Training Semi to harness, pull a log on turf. Jumping at liberty to music, making our Morgan horses our partners. Training Eve on a cow roping simulator. Training on our driveway, which is covered by sand, so we have a straight track. Stepping over poles, jumping over crossbar jumps. Training in our trail obstacles area. Semi on the big steps. Morgan horse Sadie doing obstacles rainlessly. Morgan horse Sadie being trained to drive a cart. Mini Zebu heifer Susie being trained to drive a cart. Bull Rusty learning to pull a harrow. Alicia trained Sparky on lead line in the Minmore Farms obstacles area. Part 1.
Okay, we're keeping the horses out of the corridor for now, just so that we can get Sparky's focus on this first baseline introduction to the obstacles. You see, Sparky is seeing a lot of things here. We are on a creek bank, a lot of critters, a lot of trees, a lot of bushes. So Alicia is just leading him through the Minmore Farms obstacles area. You see all these obstacles on the ground. You see curtains of caution tape, and in the back, curtain of ropes. All of these things we're going to ask Sparky to be willing to do with Alicia, both out and in saddle. And there are horses nearby, not immediately on the corridor fence. That's something for another day, having to deal with that distraction, but it's an important distraction that we have to deal with. Sparky is a trail horse, so dealing with obstacles here in a trail-like environment is very important to his progress in training. We can see in his body language that he is a little bit riled up. I may offer to Alicia, we'll see if she wants to, use the Monty Roberts dually halter, which is a good training device, but she does have a rope halter on.
What order do you want the obstacles in?
All right, let's see if you can walk through the L, which is, Alicia, watch me point, beyond the big steps, just straight through the L, forward. That's kind of like our first obstacle. It's an L made up of vinyl rails on the ground, so it's white. We can make it narrow or wide because they are connected by hardware. We'll get a little closer so you can see that it's a little bit challenging to get Sparky to go through. And Alicia is taking him in a small lunge circle nearby to get his focus. This is like taking my horses elsewhere. Sparky is being taken elsewhere because he hasn't spent a lot of time back here in the obstacles area. So we're dealing with distractions, lack of focus. That's okay. Small step at a time. Sparky's a good horse. We'll get him into compliance and relaxation, and we'll try to show you his progress. Okay, now Alicia and I have on wireless mics. Alicia's done a lot of work with Sparky, and yet she feels like there are a lot of things yet she needs to communicate to him. So Alicia's going to tell you, in a nutshell, what she has been telling me for the last few minutes. Alicia?
Okay, well, I've had Sparky for about 6 months, and he's 7 years old. He's half Arab, half saddlebred. And the vet said to me when I selected him, he said, "Oh, you got yourself a hot horse." I'm like, "Oh, great." But I think he's less hot than I feared. But today he's acting very anxious. And he's been through many of these obstacles before, but he kicked out at me when I was asking him to go forward with the dressage whip. So it was something that he found fearful. And right now all I'm trying to do is get him to feel more comfortable with this whip. And he's much calmer. All we did while the tape was off is let him walk around a little bit and calm down and look at things. So now he's sort of stopping and dropping his head and licking his lips and interested in what I'm holding. So I think we're going to go back and we're going to try the obstacle we were working on before and see if that goes more smoothly.
And you were warming him up in the arena. How was he behaving? It is kind of a brisk day. Do you think weather's having anything to do with his attitude today?
I don't think so. It's a comfortable day, and he was running around in the arena. He's pretty excited, but I think it's more that he's anxious down here. So we'll just see how he handles this. And I try and use the dressage whip just as a way to let him know what I want. I've never hit him with it. And so he's fairly comfortable with it, but I don't know all his history, how he was used in the past. So we're walking through the L. I'm walking on the outside so that he has to think for himself how to get through here. And he was pretty comfortable with that time. Normally I would try and work him by leading him on both sides, but I'm not feeling so comfortable with him today. So I'm just going to lead him in the standard position with him on my right. Now, so he rushed in this corner, not really where he's going. He's trying to rush out. Good. Simple move. It's a little stressful for him. And see how he's tossing his head. Really anxious in this direction particularly.
Which of course is not unusual. One direction is a different task from the other. And Alicia wants to get him to walk through calmly and then stop after the obstacle and wait. Much better in that direction, but waiting is still a challenge.
Good. He's still having trouble stopping when he's done. Good. trying to make it a little bit easier for him by stepping inside the obstacle. Okay. So this way he's feeling quite comfortable. We'll see if I can stop him at the end. Still, he's not comfortable enough to hold his body in position. Okay. But this is a nice obstacle for him to start on. You can see his attitude is really changing about the whole thing. He's not as upset with me or with being here. And he's to stop, although not lined up, but at least stopping, facing away from the obstacle. I'm not being particularly strict with him. I want him to get comfortable. I'm going to try stopping more times throughout the obstacle in this direction, just so that the whole idea of stopping is not such a big deal. Good boy. Good. Very good. Very good. And if your horse does something well that's hard for him, even if it seems simple to you, you need to be enthusiastic in your praise. Good. Good. And even a step and stop, even if it's very short. Good. 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 Good.
This may be too challenging at this point, but if you can get good short steps and stops, you might try a backward movement, a short backward movement to keep his attention.
Well, I've got his attention, but we'll see how that goes. He's still very anxious about this whole thing. This obstacle is nice because it's so simple. It gives him a chance to calm down. And as you were saying before, it's better to do things in small steps. Now this might be the easiest spot for him to back up because he's barely gone into the obstacle, and it's the way he's more confident. So he feels okay about backing out of there. And go a little further. Come on, back up. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. Huh? Okay, good boy. Very good. Now I'll try going around the corner. Good. And I'm not going to try and back him around this corner, but I am going to try and back him straight through this part. Good.
Very nice. Much more improvement than I expected.
Good
in just these few minutes. Good. Now let's see if we back him. If he gets used to backing and knowing he's gonna back when you stop him, you might keep his focus, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
Rather than just attention.
I think in this case, it's not so much his unwillingness to focus as a real anxiety and fear. Come on. Come on. I think you have a point in a horse that might be a little bored or it's really just listening to other horses. But I think the horse that's feeling anxiety, good boy. Very good. Very good. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I think that certain natural horsemanship trainers would say about this issue. They'll say that you're dealing with right-left brain differences,
Yes.
and your objective might be during these training sessions to keep him in left brain, because his right brain reactive side is extremely powerful. It is his nature. And if you can keep him left-brained and listening to you by anticipating that you're going to ask him for something more, maybe he won't pop into the right brain reactive, I'm afraid of, side. I like the way he's backing now. I like the way he seems to be listening for your request.
Good boy. Very good. See what you're saying, and certainly that's absolutely true in a stressful situation. If you can recognize that before you've gotten yourself into it, boy, and get your horse to work instead of flip out, it's of course an excellent situation. One of the things that I worry about is having overly great expectations of this horse. There you go. So now he's walked quietly through the bad direction. He gets a little break. You look at the barrels. And I think he might be ready to back around the corner.
That's very challenging.
We'll just see how he approaches it.
Okay.
Right now he's calm. He's licking his lips. I'm going to take a couple back steps. Good. But he's much, much calmer. Good. His feet have gone off. And I think we're not quite there to back that corner. We don't have that focus. Good.
Also, he may not quite understand yet, because he doesn't quite understand, like, when he should turn. He can't see back there on the ground, and maybe if we can get him to move his ribs and his haunches and his shoulders, when you tap him in certain places, he'll understand.
Right. Trying to get him to jump ahead isn't going to do any good. But stopping him right around the corner, boy, where he's just moved through that corner, his feet are remembering where they need to go. Good. Very good. Okay, a little distraction now, but it's a much more calm distraction. Now I would agree that it's a matter of getting him to work a little harder. Come on. But, good boy. So he's managing to back just this little bit. And this is his bad direction, so I think he deserves a big praise. And if maybe a little break from this exercise.
It's always a difficult call. When have you gotten enough of a right answer to quit? And I usually leave that up to the handler or the rider.
Right.
But let me just say that the next obstacle, from my experience, that would be the next step up, would be to bend around those barrels in whatever order you want to bend.
Okay. Well, he's definitely more comfortable bending to his left. We're going to start by doing that. We'll do the bend to his right. You can see how stiff he is. We'll do that very, very large. You can see how much more relaxed he is going around this way. And how he's tossing his head and really fighting me going this way.
Well, now, if you were able to change your position to the other side of his neck when you're bending to the right?
It would be better, and I might do that a little later because he's definitely calming down. Maybe even calm enough now. Let's see. But I might be just raising the ante to a point that it's not worth it. Yep. He's doing okay with that.
Yes, I see much more bend in his bend.
Yes.
It's almost seems to be linked to where he sees you.
Okay, now let's try. And he is willing to bend to the left with me leading from his right without all that head tossing that he was doing. But I am using the dressage whip to keep his nose away from me. This was because he hit me quite hard in the head. Unfortunately, I had a helmet on a couple of days ago. When he gets anxious and starts tossing his head, we're really in an unsafe position. But he seems on the whole pretty comfortable with these. I'm going to try leading from right in front of him, going all the way around each barrel in each direction. I think this is a very nice exercise for him. It's really helped him calm down. But even though he's calm, he's really moving out. You can see how on his hind leg, he's taking his inside leg and putting it way in front of his left, in this case, I guess he's putting it in front of his left hind, but his outside hind is really coming around.
Which is the leg placement you want.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I see a great deal of improvement just in these few minutes.
Yeah.
Well, when you feel that you've stopped on a good note there, right before you, in front of that old ancient oak tree, is a T. Very similar to the L. The T to your left.
Over here.
Yes, but you see it's a little higher.
Okay.
Because it's made up of 4x4 posts rather than rails. So he has to pay a little bit more attention on where his feet are.
We're just going to walk straight through first.
Okay, straight through the top of the T. And then you can challenge him when you're ready to do a right or a left-hand turn 90 degrees down the stem of the T.
Okay, we're going to walk back since we want to let him do that in a balanced way, both sides. And we'll start our first turn in the easy direction for us, which is to his left.
Very nice.
Yeah, so this is just fine in his book. He says this I can handle all day. Well, maybe not. We come back and we're going to make another left-hand turn. And then we'll see how he handles all of this turning to the right.
Thinking about where you want to place your body, position. It would be nice if you could just stay where you are, but if you get stiffness, which I don't see, well, I don't see it. Do you?
I'm sorry, stiffness?
Yeah, did you see stiffness?
No, I think he's much more relaxed than he was. He's certainly more anxious coming back through this way. A little head tossing, a little rushing. So we'll try and do that again with the right-hand turns. Go all the way across so you can come back and turn right down the T. Good. And I'm a little bit forgetful that with this horse it's really important to do a lot of stopping. Good. So before and after each obstacle with him, he really needs to stop and come back and be focused. So if he can't stop, he's not really in control. Okay, we're going to come up and turn to the right. Good.
How about trying that one if you're on the right side, and let's see if he understands better what you want. Do you feel safe doing that? In other words,
he's starting to toss his head again. So we'll go all the way across so that we can be in position to make a right-hand turn. I ask him to stop before we start. Good. Come up. Make a right-hand turn. Stop. Good boy. Stop.
Yeah, he seems to do better if you're on the side that you're asking him to turn.
Yes.
Which, body position means a lot in training. You got to know where you should be positioning yourself, whether it's on the right or left side or in front of, at the ribs, or behind the drive line to get forward motion.
Yeah. I think for this guy, standing still is very hard. And he finds, doing these circles, he seems to find them calming. Might be a little bit like a horse pacing. So, may not be ideal, but at least we're working on something positive rather than him tossing his head and getting anxious. So, what's our next obstacle?
Right there, that square. If you can walk into the square, either by first entering from the bridge and into the square, you'll probably find that going through the square is much easier than trying to stop in the square.
Yes,
but if you can, work your way up to stopping.
Okay. So we didn't exactly stop, but we did slow down a tiny bit. Okay. Good boy. Good.
Very nice. Now, Tommy Garland, just this morning on RFD, was working one of his Arabs on a bridge about the size of this bridge. And, of course, the Arab at first just jumped over it. And by the end of his session, the Arab was walking across it. And by the very end, Tommy got the Arab to stand on it. Now, it's almost illogical, but yes, getting him to stand was the hardest part.
Right.
And yet, if you understand the nature of the horse, you might say, no, that's not illogical at all, because the horse's natural reaction to anything that they're unsure about, anything that they fear or feel is a predator, is to run, to move. Nice.
Okay, good. Good. Very good.
In the past, we've had a tarp in that box, and we fill it with water. And wow, is that a challenge. A much different challenge to ask a horse to step down from that bridge into the very same square that has water in it. That could be frustration, it could be investigation. It's his way of saying, let's see, what is this thing I'm standing on?
With his history, that's what he does when he's frustrated. Nope, don't get your foot in there. So he came very close to just hitting me in the face with his big head.
Now,
he is frustrated.
I understand. One other way that I've learned, and actually I learned this from the very same vet that vetted out your horse, is to get a horse to stay away from your space with their head. Visual. I've seen that very same vet walk up to one of my young horses who was definitely in a space. He didn't even have a halter on. He just took his hand and he went like this to the eyes. And the horse focused on that and walked away. Now, at first you might want to couple it with a little bit of on the chest with your quirt, but then eventually no lead line, no quirt, just the visual cue of you need to back away from my space, or you need to go right, or you need to go left. They respond quite well to visual cues with training.
Let's see. Obviously that's...
Yes, I can with just a bolt keep that up against it. I honestly haven't had that problem yet, but every horse is a new challenge, and I do what I can to make my obstacles safe.
Okay. Come on.
Now, yes, can you stop him?
Good.
Yes. And the visual cue, since you do have a quirt in your hand, could be this, too. Back and forth with the top of your quirt across his eye, like a windshield wiper motion. You may or may not find that to be a technique that works. But from my experience and from watching many show on RFD TV, many different horses, many different trainers, you need to have that grab bag of techniques. Right. You need to see what works with what horsenality. And, of course, Sparky's a different horsenality from any of the other horses that we've worked with here. Every horse is a different horsenality. So learn as many techniques as you can and use them and see what works. Now, I'll tell you that Bruce Griffin will claim that there is one foolproof technique, and it takes a lot of practice, and I believe he would agree with me on this, and that is disengage the back legs. Disengage that hind end. No matter what problem you're having with your horse, the safest way to deal with it is disengage the hind end. Get those back legs to cross over each other, and then get his focus. Reason being, according to Bruce, and it's logical, I kind of agree with him, if a horse is disengaged in the hind end, they cannot rear, they cannot bolt, they cannot back, they cannot do any of those things that by nature as a prey animal they are equipped to do. So you need to get a push button on disengaging that hind end, including out on the trail. If you're having a problem, if you can do it fast enough before they've come completely right-brained and completely stiff, disengage that hind end with the proper cue that your horse has learned, and you have a handle on safety.
Okay.
Well, I feel like 3 obstacles done successfully with improvement is good for today. Do you agree?
It is very good. I'm going to do a couple more just to see how he responds. He was so much calmer in this box that I want to take advantage of that moment.
And you're going to try to turn him?
No, I was just going to have him walk straight through right here.
Okay, from each direction.
This is the short end, and he's kind of a long horse. So he has to get his feet in a bit. And because he tends to stand stretched out, anything that'll help his hind legs closer to his front legs.
And in front of you is a big tree. Now, what happens if you go the other direction? Which one would you expect him to be calmer in?
Oh, this way.
Yes, me too.
So we'll see if he can handle that other direction. This big tree has a tarp on it, which many horses would look at as something that's very scary. Good boy.
Yeah, he's looking to you for direction. Okay. That's what I see with his body language, with his eyeball.
Yeah, so I don't want to quit quite yet because he's now calm and listening, and I don't want to push him into something he's going to be upset by, but I do want to see.
How about the uneven parallel bar straight ahead of you? Walk over them.
Okay.
Keeping in mind that they are uneven, and that can be very spooky to a horse. They have to know where their feet are.
Yeah. So he's...
And then the yew trees themselves are a serpentine tool.
It's pretty different than he was when I walked him out at the beginning.
You have his focus.
You can take a look at these ropes. Now, he's not a horse that's overly worried about things coming down on top of him, luckily.
Now the caution tape curtain is a little bit more obvious. He may or may not be spooked by the material or the color.
Do you feel like you want to try it?
Okay, we're going to take a look.
There's a deer in the corridor there.
I see.
He's checking it out. Good. Investigation. But a little bit more challenging. Yes. It looks more like a shield rather than a curtain to him because it's so thick. So dense. See, back here in this Minmore Farms obstacles area, we're on a creek bank and have a lot of critters. Deer and coyotes and bobcats and squirrels and rodents of all sorts, so it's challenging in itself.
He can put his head through it. He's not upset. One good thing about him is it's pretty obvious when he is upset. There's the head tossing and the... He's now showing signs of being more upset because he's pawing the ground. But he stopped on his own. Okay, we're going to walk around and look at it from the other side.
Now, the pawing the ground, as I said, that could be a sign of frustration, but in another respect, it could be his way of saying, I have to investigate this, because if he was really frustrated, he might most naturally try to flee. So pawing the ground may not necessarily be a bad sign. It may be a next step to success.
So he's got his head all the way through.
There you go,
Yeah,
Sparky.
good boy. That was very good.
That was excellent.
Very good.
And that was showing trust in you and respect in you, because that is a very challenging obstacle from my experience.
He has things that upset him that are different than what upset the horses. So, as with any new horse, they're faced with entirely different issues. And all the skills you've learned, you have to try out the new things. As Sonia was saying, you have to have a huge grab bag so that you can find the right things. And the more you learn, the less you realize you know. Or something like that. Okay.
Now look at that. Oh, I thought he was going to go right through. Almost. He looked like... There you go.
Good
there
boy.
You go.
That's a good boy.
I call that obstacle the knee scraper, because if you are in saddle, unless your horse is very, very on purpose to go through, you could scrape your knees.
Well, that sounds really pleasant. It's also kind of low. You'd have to be ducking way down to get your head underneath this.
What we usually do is do it on foot at first until we're sure that the horse is no longer afraid of the caution tape. And then we inch our way through as soon as we're confident the horse is not
You want to come
afraid
through?
of going through. There you go.
Good. Okay, what about the direction? Huh? Wait. Wait. Wait.
You wanted him to stop in the middle?
I did. This direction is harder for him. Okay, wait. Wait. I want him to be on one side with me on the other. Good. Okay. What do you think? Good boy. I think stopping in the middle would be a little too hard for him. He's done a lot today. I'm just going to walk around these barrels again because they seem to calm him down.
The only obstacles you haven't negotiated today are the sawhorse gates, the big steps, the log and tree stump jump, which is behind that ancient oak tree, and a very, very challenging obstacle which will challenge your patience is teaching Sparky, if you so choose to do, to walk across the 16-foot balance beam that's only 8 inches across.
We can look at it. We find this a big challenge.
To walk across the 8-inch width is easy, but to walk down the 16-foot length with all fours is very, very challenging. And as a matter of fact, the first time I taught a horse to do it, I really thought I would totally fail and never want to try again. But it was so wonderful to get that focus and to get that respect. All the way across the balance beam that I'm continuing to teach all my horses to do it.
Good.
2 feet. Good.
All 4 feet. Good boy, though. Good start. Wait. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Good.
He's kind of understanding what you want. You see, now he has to put one foot in front of the other. Both front and back. Yes.
Good. Come on. Good boy. Good boy.
Over and over again, the natural horsemanship trainers emphasize that horses learn not from pressure, but from release of pressure. So as soon as you get a right answer, release your pressure, approach, retreat, approach again, and you're much likely to get the answer the second time or the third time, rather than applying constant pressure.
Wait. Okay. Can you do this? So you can see he's tossing his head again. He's pawing. He knows what I want him to do. And he's quite nervous about this. So if he can get his feet back on again, that will definitely be the end of the lesson for today. I'll give him a lot of praise.
The 2 feet. 2 fronts. Yes, if you can get the 2 fronts. Good boy, Sparky.
Yes.
He's trying to please you.
And no head tossing.
Yes.
No anger.
And he knows that he's giving you the right answer.
Yes.
All right.
He does.
Now, I notice you don't have any treats with you.
Oh, no, I do.
Oh, you do? Oh, good.
I just was so distracted.
Some people don't believe in using treats in training. I certainly do.
Good boy. Good boy.
Well, we have a myriad of challenges ahead, and I hope that you and Sparky would like to come back.
Well, we had a great time. You can see how different he is now than how he was when we walked in.
Look at that body language.
You can't argue with that.
Thank you, Alicia, and thank you, Sparky.
Thank you, Sonia.
Our cast of characters: Sadie and Eve, Sammy, Rusty and Susie, www.thesocolos.com.